All right, so we are here in week 4. Things are really winding down for the month, and hope you guys are looking forward to your spring break next week, or summer break rather, because you do have that week off. Don't forget that no class next week, and then it'll start up again on the first Monday of July, I believe. All right, so this is going to be a quick update and just to go over what's going on this week with the last assignment for Portfolio Project 1. Looking back, you guys just finished last week did the Defining Your Audience assignment. And overall, I think everybody did a pretty good job of this. It's very easy to overgeneralize your audience and not really think very critically of who exactly that audience consists of or that customer base. Trying to think of a few things I saw in those assignments. One thing was that, and there's a general tendency to say, like I said, to overgeneralize. Because you certainly don't want to exclude anybody that's interested in your subject. Anybody can wander into the store or pick up a CD or tune into a YouTube channel or podcast, and you're not going to tell them no, we don't want you listening because you're not part of our target audience. But there's going to be a core, like a core audience that you certainly want to kind of cater to. That these are the people that you have in mind as your main listening audience, that your content most likely will appeal to, and it's okay to acknowledge that, because if you think about what we're doing here as media professionals, we are one thing, we're putting out content. If you're creating a YouTube channel, or like Judah, you're creating your transmedia story. You want to put out content that's going to be appealing to the viewers or the consumers, but you also have to spread the word about that, get the message out there and advertise or promote your work. And knowing who your audience is will help you in that regard as well, because if you know this audience comes from a particular community or a particular interest group, like they have a specific hobbies that that you're aware of, then you can kind of meet them where they're at. Go to the places where they meet online and promote your work there. That's something that you see a lot with YouTube, with Facebook marketing, where you can go to these online groups that share these interests and say, hey, if you're interested in this, then you might like what I have to offer as well. So it's good to be as specific as possible with your audience, who you're defining your audience as. And again, that's not to exclude anyone that wants to participate as a member of your audience, but just knowing where your base is very beneficial. Were there any questions or any comments about the audience, defining the audience and knowing who your audience is? Okay, good. And sometimes it can be really beneficial to look at the competition as well, if there is competition, or people that are doing something similar to what you're doing, and seeing who's taking part in their audience, and how are they getting the word out there. Because if they're getting a really positive response and they're doing something along similar lines, then maybe you could take a tip from them and follow suit. So now we're following up on that and identifying the media needs of your subject. And this is more of the kind of media strategy aspect defining your portfolio subjects. What we mean by identifying your media needs is kind of going back to what I was just saying. It's not just creating your content, although that's a big part of it. It's also the promotion part, getting the word out there, building an audience and building a community, because that's a big part of the media world today, is building a community around a community of interest around whatever subject you're dealing with. The content aspect is important because you're creating some type of media content, most likely. The two of you have very different subjects, so your media needs are going to be pretty widely divergent. Because Waverly, I know your subject isn't media-based itself. It's dealing with a product, a physical product, which are the flags. So you might be focused more on building a brand identity and getting the word out about the products that your subject has to offer. Whereas Judah, yours is more media-based in itself. So you're not only creating media through your transmedia story, which might take the place of sort of an online comic or animation or video or social media or all of these things working together, since it is transmedia. To have that task ahead of you, also the matter of promoting as well, which having a social media presence can certainly handle a big part of that through Facebook and Twitter and YouTube if you're going to be more video based. So with transmedia, there's actually a lot of overlap, because as we've talked about in past months, transmedia. My train of thought just left me. Or as we talked about in past weeks, the transmedia can often involve the kind of augmented reality games that are themselves promotional in nature. Waverly, are you asking what the brand identity is in itself? Currently, would be, say, if you, I'm not sure if the A-Wave Flags is a fictional company or is that something that really exists in the world. But say if you had chosen for your subject a local business, or say if A-Wave Flag was an existing company, the question of whether or not they're currently using media would be, say, do they have commercials like on TV, on the radio? Do they have any kind of social media presence? Like, do they have a Facebook page? Or do they have a website? What kind of media are they using already? And how effective is that happening? Since yours is a company that is fictional, you could just say no, there's not currently using any type of media. But then the challenge falls on you to come up with more of a media strategy, since you're starting from scratch. So yeah, and we're talking about media in yes, and that's actually what you asked there is exactly what I was getting ready to say, is that we're talking about media in a general sense. So anything that you can think of that might qualify as media. It could be traditional television, it could be streaming media, social media, even print, brochures, flyers, magazine advertisements. Any of these things qualify. And it really depends on the nature of your subject, because Some subjects have more use for a particular type of media over others. And also consider your audience as well. Where are they going to find information? If somebody was trying to find these flags for their sporting events, where would they expect to look? They could do a Google search, certainly. They might look in the Yellow Pages. They might, see a TV commercial. It depends on where they're already looking, where they're already at, media-wise. Audio, yeah. Are you asking what some audio formats would be? Because yeah, audio is in there, but you would have things in the audio realm would be radio in a more traditional media format, and also streaming podcasts, music, if that's relevant to your subject. Did that answer your questions? Okay, so right, so what the assignment for this week is doing is asking for kind of a baseline. Where is it at right now? What are some needs that you can identify? Whether it's content that needs to be produced, like in the case of the transmedia story, maybe you are just getting started with this project and you still need to develop some of the content, some of the transmedia elements. Or if the need is more in the promotional and marketing side, then that's something that you would need to identify. And it could be both of those things or some other aspect of media that I haven't mentioned. I know that one of the class members' subject, or actually two, have chosen musicians as the kind of up-and-coming musicians as their subjects. So that's a whole different set of potential media needs there that they might be looking at producing a new CD. They might be promoting events, concerts, or even getting some streaming media online. So really, it's all very situational. It's a matter of knowing your subject really well, knowing what options are out there, and that's something that as media communications majors, you're going to be learning more and more about the different options that are out there, so that you can offer these solutions. And this is really coming from a mindset of being a media strategist, perhaps a media consultant or creative director type of mentality, so that you can be called upon to offer solutions to whatever kind of media challenges your clients might face in the future. So yeah, it's sort of I can picture it as sort of a triangle of the nature of the subject, the target audience, and the oh goodness, my brain just went blank on the third one. Nature of the subject, the nature of the target audience, and the current state of what their media usage is, and consider all these things, those three things, when coming up with your strategy. Because this is a very simplified version of doing a media strategy task. And the last part of this week's assignment is to identify the resources you might need. And I don't expect you to do a detailed analysis and breakdown of budgets or anything like that. You will be doing that in the project management course coming up. But for right now, just sort of very loosely identify what the media solution that you come up with might require in terms of resources. And that's, could include financial budget, specialized equipment if you need cameras or special software for creating a particular type of media. If you need to hire professionals, say a videographers or web designers or anything like that. And again, this is all hypothetical, so I'm not expecting you to go out and hire a team of designers. But just kind of looking at the situation and estimating what might be needed. Did you have any questions on any of this so far? All right, well, and looking at where this is all headed, really what we're doing in Portfolio Project 1 I'm not sure if the audio cut out. I don't know if you guys were unable to hear me. I am in the middle of a pretty nasty storm where I'm at, but okay. I'm not sure where the audio cut out, but I was asking if there were any kind of questions about any of the current assignment requirements. I'm not sure. Okay. So I was saying that with Portfolio Project 1, you're really doing a lot of foundation setting. So the assignments, especially the selecting your subject and defining the audience and defining the media needs, really are preparing you for what's coming up in Portfolio Project 2, which is developing a style guide, because in the style guide, you'll do a more formal examination of your target audience. And you'll start to define some of the way that the brand will be presented in the media. So you're not really dealing with specific media at that point, but you'll be addressing things like what tone of voice your media will take, whether it'll be very formal or more friendly and conversational, or even more jovial and joking, or using a lot of colloquial jargon and slang and that sort of thing. So by at least taking a very surface level look at some of these factors, target audience and the media needs, you'll be more prepared once that comes down the line. Also, later on in the program, once you reach Portfolio Project 4, say, you'll have some options of creating specific projects to address some of these media needs and address some of the requirements of your subject. So there'll be some flexibility and some choice. And by having put this forethought in at this point, you will be more prepared for those assignments. Okay, that was pretty much what I have prepared for you tonight. Just really touching base with you guys and introducing the next segment of the class. It sounds like you guys are pretty much on track, but if there's anything else that I can help clear up or any questions, let me know. But if you guys feel like you're all set, then I'm happy to let you go for the evening. I appreciate you joining me, and I know this was a fairly brief meeting. All right, thanks again.